In this episode of the Choose Hard podcast, we have Aram Grigorian. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Aram is an online coach. He is also the host of the Real Coaches Summit, and he is better known on Instagram as 4 Weeks to the Beach, which I actually learned in today's podcast what that means and where it came from, and I love it. I actually really love how he came up with 4 Weeks to the Beach, and I think you're going to resonate with it and strive to be in a similar position as to the meaning and core behind what his name stands for. But Aram has a very interesting story. He came here as an immigrant at a young age and watched his parents struggle and grind just to make ends meet. But watching that grind, I think, really birthed a work ethic in him that allowed him to get through school, college, build his own career, then change paths, move across the country, and start all over again in the online coaching space, building his name and business up. And then after a few years of that, he started the Real Coaches Summit, which is one of the most well-known and biggest coaching seminar summits in the country that actually focuses on, you guessed it, real coaching. So I'm really excited for you to hear this origin story of Aram, who has become a good friend of mine, and to really understand what it takes to be a successful online coach in today's space. Without any further ado, let's talk to the one and only 4 Weeks to the Beach.
The greatest things in life all start with a challenge.
You must accept that everything is hard before it gets easy. You must accept
everything you want in life begins with a hard path.
All right. Aram, man, I'm excited to have you on the podcast for a couple reasons. And I want to say those before you give yourself an intro. The first one is because the first time we talked, you told me, and I just love how blunt you are. You're like, I really just never liked you. And it
No. Not that I didn't like you. I thought, here.
You liked me after the podcast. You did.
No. So your audience understands. When I first met Cody, I met him at Coaching Con when I first got into the industry, and I didn't know anything about content creation. And here I see this kid walking around with a fucking camera crew, and I'm like, wow, he must think he's hot shit. Now, fast forward 5 years later, or 6 years later, everybody walks around with a camera crew, and I have to hire people at my event to walk around with us. So now I completely understand why you did it. So yeah, my opinion changed almost overnight. But yeah, that was the initial entry into like the fitness world that I didn't understand yet.
And to be fair, I think part of the reason why we get along is because I would look at somebody doing that and think the exact same thing, honestly. At first, I'd be like, what a douchebag, you know? And so I loved how you introduced yourself that way to me the first time we talked. The second reason is because, man, I just feel like we have a lot in common. We get along. Not only are we covered in tattoos, but we also believe in a lot of the same things. We like a lot of the same things. We're very transparent, and we're really focused on coaching first above all else in this kind of shady industry. And that leads me to the third thing, which I really want to touch on today, and that's the Real Coaches Summit. I think that it is one of the only seminars / summits that you can go to live in person today in the country that, I mean, probably the world. I don't know what's going on outside of the country really, but inside of the country that actually promotes real coaching and is actually pushing people to be really good coaches. And the guest speakers that you have on stage and everything, it's all catered towards becoming your best coach. And I think that's so, man, like that's how it used to always be. And then COVID hit. And then all of a sudden when it came back, it was all marketing and all masterminds and all this, like you would pay all this money to go to an event and the speakers sucked. And then they're trying to lock the doors and sell you on something before you leave. And it was just the most, dude, it was terrible. I hated it. So I really respect what you're doing with that and the size that it's at and the risk you take to put that on, man, because I know what it takes on the back end to do something like that. It's a very stressful thing, and I think it's so damn cool that you have this passion to do it, man. So welcome to the podcast, first and foremost, and thank you for being here, brother, and give us a little intro of who you are for anybody who's not listening that doesn't know.
Thank you. It's I think the beautiful part about being a human being is knowing that you can start off like that and have absolutely no ill will towards each other. I mean, and especially now with all the bickering and bullshitting online with everybody fighting with one another because they don't agree upon stuff. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's such a waste of energy. Like if I like you, I'll support everything you do until you give me a reason not to. And I always hope that I conduct myself in that way. Like I think transparency and authenticity are just dead, and everybody's trying to be somebody that they're not online, and they're putting up a front that when you meet them in person, you know, they always say, you don't want to meet your heroes. And very often that has been true in this industry. There's been a lot of people that I've looked up to and that I've met in person and wanted to run away from them and almost immediately. And I'm just hoping that whether it's my event, whether it's the way that I come off and people meet me in person, they don't say the same shit about me, because what you get with me is exactly what you get. The way that I speak on my Instagram is the way that I speak in person, is the way I speak in my podcast, is the way I talk to you if I saw you at a bar or at an airport. I just don't understand why people feel the need to have to filter themselves or manufacture somebody that they're not. It just doesn't make any sense. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for being one of the real ones.
Man, this saying my grandpa had before he passed away, and then my dad would say it to me. You never have to remember a story if you just tell the truth, or if you just who you are. And I always remembered that, because it was like, if you get in trouble and everything like that, like, you're good. You don't have to fabricate anything. You just, this is what it is. And usually that helps avoid a lot. And I think you do that well. I have a random question that just popped in my head. Knowing that we're online people, and then you have this event, we have podcasts, stuff like that. Have you ever ran into somebody you didn't know in public? And if so, what would, like, is there a reaction? Because I've always thought about this, what you just said, like, you are who you are, and if we see you in person, you're not going to be shocked, right? Because this is how it is. Have you ever ran into anybody in person and then they're like, "Oh shit, like, that's true. You're actually what I thought you would be like."
Yeah, a couple of times at an airport, once in Vegas, once in Atlanta. Atlanta's always like the place that I run into people. I run into celebrities in Atlanta all the time. I was just in Atlanta last weekend, coming home from Miami. I saw Timbaland on my flight from Miami to Atlanta. Like, nobody recognized him. He was standing right in front of me. He's like 5'7", very unassuming. And I walked up to him like, "Dude, thank you for the years of music you've produced. I appreciate every ounce of it." He was super cool. And then I saw John Heater and John Grice, who were Napoleon Dynamite and Uncle Rico.
Uh,
And they were trying to get on the plane to go to San Diego. They were literally just hopping around the airport trying to figure out a place to go. And they're like buddies to this day. I'm like, "Guys, you made like my favorite movie of the 2000s." So like, they were cool. So yeah, it's happened a few times where people have like come up to me like, "Oh, you're 4 weeks to the beach," because nobody actually knows my name. And which is funny because Allie Gilbert, I don't know, I'm sure you know who Allie
yeah.
is, told me a while back before I even got on Instagram. She's like, "That's a stupid name. You're going to want to change that." And then lo and behold, 6 years later, I always make fun of her and I say, "Hey, that was the one thing you were wrong about." So I'm just going to remind you of that all the time. But yeah, it's cool to like, I don't consider myself to be an influencer or a celebrity of any kind. Now, I mean, listen, 50,000 followers. If I had 50,000 people standing outside of my house right now waiting for for me to say something, I wouldn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to me that like people are upset when they have like 3,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, can you imagine if there was just 3,000 people in your driveway waiting for you to drop information on them? Like, you would be so nervous, and here you are bitching to get another follower. Just serve the people you have. Like, I'm a human being. I don't consider them followers. I consider them an audience, because I'm not Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything revolutionary. You can literally go on internet today to chat GPT your way through the entire monologue that I can have, and you'll learn just as much as I'll teach you. But the only reason why my job exists is because you don't do it on your own without help. That's why our career is here. It's not because we're smarter than anybody or because we're revolutionizing the industry or doing anything crazy. We're just able to communicate science in a way that becomes practical and applicable to your average person who's struggling with it. And we're keeping them accountable to something that they couldn't do on their own. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. It's so true. And I think the frame of how many people it actually is. Like, if anybody bitches and they're like, "I only got 500 views." It's like, just imagine 500 people. Like, I've spoken in front of a couple hundred people and almost shit my pants before I started my speech,
Yeah.
And then once you get going, you're like, okay, and you're fine. Cause there's always that nerves, and I love speaking, but dude, like, I don't think that ever gets like super comfortable to just walk out in front of, and that's like the smallest fraction of the views we get on some of our videos that you don't think about. And it's like, obviously it is different, but I think the influence that you can have on people when you look at it that way, it just makes it way less intimidating and way more impactful in your mind. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then to me, I used to try to, especially even recently, I've had kind of these existential crises of like, where does my career go and where does my business need to develop? Do I need more followers? And I talked to a bunch of people that were social media and marketing and branding people, and they're like, "Well, you could start spending money on ads and start doing this and do that and spend 3,000 to 5,000 bucks a month on YouTube content." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't need pedestrians who just want to watch fun content show up on my page. I want customers. Like I used to always be very afraid of asking for money and being a businessman. But now it's like I'm giving you a service that I know you need, and you're gonna buy it from some schmuck anyway. So buy it from me because at least you'll have a service with integrity, and I know that you'll get what you need and what you paid for. As opposed to if you keep waiting for the sensational bullshit that you're following to be the way that you do it, it's not going to work for you. You're going to quit again. You're going to consider yourself a loser. You're going to lose trust in the industry that I love so much, and it's all because I was too chicken shit to ask you for a dime. So now I'm at a point in my career where like I don't care about getting another 50,000 followers. I have 50,000 people that are looking at me right now, and they may not be ready to buy from me today, but if I keep pouring into them and giving them something that they don't have and helping them for free constantly, hopefully eventually when they are ready to spend money, I'm the person they do it with.
Yeah. And that's truthfully, that's usually how it goes. People very rarely discover somebody on Instagram and go, wow, I'm going to trust them with my money and my health right now. It's like, you got to earn that over time. And I love that you said that because there has been so many influential figures, mentors, people that I've asked questions and sought out business help from that I have way more followers than, and they helped me tremendously to build my business and help more people and make more money because it's not all about social media. I think a lot of people, like, granted, that's not to say you shouldn't try to grow your social media. It's just that I think you hit the nail on the head saying like it's more than just that, you know, and a follower is not the same as a customer. It can become a customer, but they are two different things. So, dude, I want to backtrack a little bit because I don't even know the origins of your story. And one of the things I wanted to ask was, and I'm sure we'll get there, about the 4 weeks to the beach, because there's been times where I read that and I'm like, I don't feel like that necessarily describes what I see in him. When I think of real coaching and like long-term fixes and sustainability, and like you're doing things the right way. I also think there's a place for a fast, hard, aggressive cut. So I'm like, where did that come from? Where did you start? Like, how did this all happen? Like, give me the kind of background. You said you're from outside of New York, I think you said. So give me like, where did you like start to transition into fitness? Like, how did that even start from the beginning?
So all the way to the beginning is I'm a Russian immigrant, so I moved to the United States in 1989 with my father, my mother, my grandmother, and my brother. My brother's 13 years older than I am from a previous marriage. Fidelity was not something that my parents took to heart. So between my mom and my dad, I think my father had 4 wives and my mother had 2 husbands. So yeah, clearly practice did not make perfect. And then when we got here, it was just a blur of just watching my parents grind, man. Like, and that's why, like, I work with women, I think, because I'm so close to my mother, and I watched her go from having kind of a silver spoon in Russia because my dad had a lot of money. My father was a cop for 20 years, and then he owned a bar during communism, which just made him a gangster, basically. So he just stole everything he had, and everything we had, he probably robbed off a truck somewhere. And that's just how he lived, and that's how he survived. So my mother never wanted for anything. She never worked for anything. And then fast forward to moving to America with literally, I mean, when we came here, my father had to basically give away every possession he had. He gave away all of his cash. My mother had to give away all of her jewelry. We had to pay our way out because it was still communism back at the time. So we had to pay all the upper end officials to get our paperwork to get out. So when we got here, my father was walking up and down the street in New Haven, Connecticut, just asking for work with whatever little English he can muster up. And then he finally got a job at a car dealership servicing cars. He had no fucking clue how to do it, but he lied to them and said he can fix radios. No clue. My mother was doing night shift cleaning funeral homes. And my brother, who was 19 at the time, was mopping up IHOPs, and that was it. Like that was where I started, and that's what I watched. I was 9 years old, getting off the bus by myself, cooking my own dinner, contributing to the household because my parents were never home. At that point, they were working 3 jobs apiece. So that was it. But like that was life. I was a happy kid. I lived in a fucking shitty neighborhood. My father was the biggest racist in the world, and we lived next to nothing but black people, and I made a bunch of black friends. So I never like even understood racism, and because I'm just, my father's an insane person. Why doesn't he not like these people? They're great. But he didn't know I didn't like them. And fast forward now, he's the sweetest old man on the planet because I beat the the racism out of them, essentially. Then I did the whole American dream thing. I went to college and I got a finance economics degree because that's what I thought I should do. And then I went into finance for 7 years and I sat at a fucking desk and made other people money and snorted a bunch of coke and forgot that I should save any of that money at all. And essentially $120,000 a year turned into an overdraft in my bank account every other weekend because I was spending $700 to $900 at a bar every other night, and flying down to Miami with every last chunk of change I had to try to live the big dog Wolf of Wall Street lifestyle. And then I realized I can't keep doing that anymore. Now, I was a shitty athlete. I tried to play high school sports, but I sucked at it. I basically was a really good lifter, which is what got me into fitness. Is I joined the football team, and our team was like nationally ranked at the time. We were top 25 in the country. And they were jacked and they had all the girls. So I'm like, cool, this must be the recipe for getting chicks. So let me do that. And I took to weightlifting. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the grit of it. I enjoyed the work of it. I had the work ethic. I watched my parents grind for fucking 15 years of my life at that point. So I knew what work was. I didn't mind it. I liked doing it. So it just kind of came natural to me. And I was the kid that was shoulder pressing 225 seated as a 16-year-old kid when everybody else couldn't even bench it. And I don't know why. I just practiced. And then when I was sitting in the finance world, I just realized that like it was super toxic for my mental and physical health. I was still working out. I was still playing basketball in the mornings, but like Thursday through Sunday, I was always high or drunk. So like basically my fitness is what bought my quality of life back. Like if I wasn't as fit as I was and if I didn't eat as well as I did, my body would have completely been destroyed because I was spending essentially 72 plus hours a week fucked up, malnourished. And by the way, anybody who doesn't believe in a calorie deficit, do coke for 3 days straight every single week and tell me you can't lose weight. Because when you're not eating food, it's very easy to be lean.
Yeah.
And I was certainly not eating any food. I mean, granted, I was consuming 10 to 15 vodka sodas a night, which is probably 1,500 to 2,000 calories of just booze. But I had no problem losing weight. But it just, I got out of it. And I got laid off in 2012. I got my first gym job because I went and got the NASM certification. I just wanted something different. I'd always been kind of like that person that people looked up to in the office for like fitness and nutrition advice because I'd always been in shape or at least looked in shape. So I decided to pursue that as a potential career because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I didn't want to go back into finance because I was just figured I'd probably die if I stayed there. Got a job at Equinox in Greenwich, Connecticut. Went from making literally 6 months before that $160,000 to making $8 an hour rolling towels and dipping them in eucalyptus water and handing them to rich women on treadmills, which was a really fun fall from grace. And then I realized that like I have to sell. It's not like they do hand you clients to some degree, but they have to know you and like you. And I was too new and I was too controversial looking because I wasn't pretty. And I wasn't their norm, so they weren't just passing clients off to me. So I would just walk around the gym floor and I would pick apart people's form and give them other exercises to do or show them how to do them better. And within 3 months, I had a full book of business. And then after a year of being there and them charging $175 an hour, I'm like, I can just go to their home gyms, which are much better than most commercial gyms anyway. I could charge them $120 an hour. So they're saving $50. I'm making double. And I just did that, and I developed like an in-person, house-to-house, travel to your place, coaching, in-person training business, and did that for a while. I worked at a small little boutique gym to get a W-2 so I can hide some of my cash. Did that for a year, and then they closed down during COVID. And at that point, I just basically took all the business I had and brought it to a little industrial park gym that was under lock and key. And I was making $3,000 a week in training because I was the only game in town. And then I saved up all that money. I moved to California, lost every single penny I had again, and used that $40,000 that I saved up to start an online business. And here we are today.
Okay, so I have a couple. One is specifically about your background, and I want to get your thoughts on this because it's your story. But I find that it seems like there's quite a few successful entrepreneurs, and I would say just people with a very strong work ethic and like a willingness to do what's required to succeed and continually move forward that are immigrants, but especially from Eastern European countries. Like I feel like that's a very common thing. Is there anything like
Luca.
I mean, Lucas Juan, Bedros is another one. Like I can think of quite a few, and even just books I've read. I'm one of those guys that just like if I'm running, which I run a decent amount, I'm listening to an audiobook usually. I read a lot, so it's like I'm always hearing stories. I feel like it's very common. Like they're usually from specific areas of the world, but this idea of actually now I think about it too, it's usually an immigrant's kid. So like the son of like you moved here as an immigrant, but you're a child watching that experience happen is usually, I mean, even Tim Grover, I think, was the same exact way. And there's no stories about his father being abnormally successful, but he's obviously abnormally successful. Same thing with Bedros and all these different situations. What do you have to say about that? Like, what is that? Is there something about that experience that just changes the way you see things? Do you think it's something that your parents instill in you and that's a very cultural thing? Like, is there anything that you can point to that people can take away from that?
When you have the attitude that nothing is really that hard because every day is hard, like when your default is
Mm,
always your back is against the wall and you don't know where the next meal is coming from or where the next dollar is coming from because nothing is promised. Like I grew up very quickly realizing that I'm not going to get shit unless I work for it. Like there's not going to be anything handed out to me. There's not going to be anybody that's just going to be like, here you go. I can't just go and get a job if I feel like it. Like everything has to be like figured out and earned. And then nothing seems hard anymore. Like high school wasn't hard. Lifting wasn't hard. College was a fucking breeze. I mean, college was the easiest thing in the world. I literally just went to class. I worked full time while I went to school, and I graduated with 3.9 GPA and got. I had a job for September of 2002. No, 2006 was when I graduated. Yeah, no, 2002 was when I graduated. I had a job in finance the year before that already, locked in. So my senior year could have been a throwaway year, but I still got a 4.0 that year. Because to me, it's like, what else am I doing? Like I drank my face off in high school. I basically didn't party at all in college because I already had it out of my system. I then found powder and all that shit in my mid 20s because I had money and I was around that type of people. But like I had no distractions. But I think that's the other issue is like people are wildly unpurposeful. Like they don't really have a vision or a direction. Everything is a complaint or this is hard and that's hard when in reality, like what's like you live in America. How hard is it really gonna like if you couldn't do anything at all and you had no skill set, period, but you knew how to drive a car, you can get a job delivering food tomorrow. And you can at least scrape by and survive somehow. Whereas in most other countries, you'd be living outside on the grass. And
yeah.
in America, that's just not going to happen. Like even the worst downtrodden people here have assistance and aid, and there's places to go to get free this and free that. Like it doesn't work like that in any other country. You just fucking die on the street like a rat, and that's it. And then you get thrown into a gutter, and nobody cares about you anymore. But here, like you have to purposely fuck up and fail constantly over and over again until the system finally gives up on you. But you've probably given up on yourself before that even happened. So I just don't understand. But I don't want it to be a trauma competition either. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure other people have it hard, right? Like the mom who's got 3 kids and is working for minimum wage has a much fucking harder life than I'll ever have. But it also is because maybe she had shitty circumstances and made some bad decisions along the way. So is it hard for her because life dealt her a shitty hand, or is it hard for her because she fucked up along the way? That's the thing is like I think a lot like I just took responsibility and I said, okay, my circumstance sucks. I don't want to live like my parents lived. I don't want to live this lifestyle of being in debt. Like my parents went bankrupt 3 times when I was a kid. So like it was just always scary, constantly. Well, my brother's in poor health. He fucking smokes cigarettes and is a full-time alcoholic. So I didn't want to live like that either. So it's like you just kind of see examples of what you don't want to be and you work your ass off to go the opposite direction. That's all I did. And it's not like I really worked like I was like, to me, hard work is not standing in front of a computer answering text messages about fucking macros. To me, hard work is like mining for 12 hours a day or being on a roof for 12 hours a day or doing like that's work. Like sitting in an office rotting away for somebody else is not hard. It's mentally draining and certainly not ideal, but like that it's not physically difficult. It's not a problem that you have to solve. And I just think there's just not a lot of mental fortitude anymore. It's very, very hard to see that now. And we had no choice.
So good. Literally why choose hard is the phrase for this podcast and for our company and stuff is because I always tell people like in those scenarios, even the lady you made up and described, was it the circumstance she was dealt? Was it the decision she made? Like whatever her answer is, the response to that is and
Yeah. Okay.
because like what either way, you either have to do something about it to improve and grow and succeed or not. Like that's your choice. I think this is where it's. I mean, in today's world, obviously, it's crazy. There's. I mean, this is why you shouldn't give trophies to second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and eighth place. Like it just doesn't. That doesn't help them earn the first place one. Dude. In Washington, there's this renters thing. I don't know if they do this in Cali. If a renter just decides they don't want to pay, they just stop. I'm like, wait, hold up, what? And then the
Yeah.
owner of the house and the building still has to pay property taxes? Like that doesn't make any sense. And they
It's
just
I think
can't
it's
do
called
anything about it.
squatters. It's like
Yes.
squatters' rights or something. We have that in California too. Like they can stop paying rent for at least 6 months, if not more, before they even get talked about eviction.
It's so crazy to me. It's like that is not going to help people become better, and
In, Ru-
I think
in Russia, they would literally kick the door down, drag you out, and probably throw you in prison that day.
yeah.
There
Well,
would there would be no second chance.
I think this is why people need to, if you're not going to explore the world, which I'm not a well-traveled person. I haven't like gone all over the world. I've never even flown overseas. But I've had enough friends and I've had a lot of clients internationally at this point that I talk to, and you can hear what it's like in other places. Like one of my coaches is from South Africa. He doesn't live there anymore, but like
Cool.
from him as well. Like there's such bad, hard places to live. And it's like, man, this is pretty good. So anyway, we could probably go on a crazy tangent here, but so you go through this and you experience what it's like to be a child immigrant essentially and watching your parents struggle to survive, and that kind of creates this urge to, let's call it, even though you say this isn't real hard work hard compared to the average person and keep moving forward because of it, because you took ownership and decided this is my life, my decisions, I'm not going to be like them, I'm going to be my own person. Went through the training phases, you got to the online place, and at this point I have to ask, is this where you just decided to come up with the 4 weeks to the beach? Like, I'm very curious as to how that name came about, and what made you stick with that, even when somebody was like, hey, you shouldn't keep that name, which, by the way, you're not the only person. Somebody else told that to Brad Jensen about Sober Bodybuilder, and he was like, no, I want to keep it. Thank God he did, because that was very, very smart of him to do. And somebody was like, this is a stupid name. You should get rid of it.
Yeah,
So he
man.
said that. But anyway, where did yours come from and how did that begin? Because the online space, I mean, you started over again, moved to Cali, $0, let's get back to it kind of thing. How did that start? And kind of give us the story on the early stages, because there's a lot of early on coaches listening to this.
When I started my Instagram back in 2015, my buddy from Miami, who was a photographer, who was this really beautiful, jacked black guy who is a friend of mine. He's a designer, he's an artist, he's just a very creative person, and he likes the stylistic side of things. So he was like, just make a lot of very pretty content and like just put yourself out there shirtless, like just get people thirsty. And that's what I did because I didn't know any better. And it was like me laying on the gym floor, sweating with my abs pop, and just like the douchebag content that now just makes me completely cringe and turn my stomach.
I
But
got to scroll
I didn't
back.
know. I didn't know any better. I almost wish I could just go back and delete all of it, but I feel like there's a level of history there that needs to be maintained. If
Yeah.
anybody has the chops to go back 3,500 posts, go right ahead, and you'll see some really cringy content. But then I realized I wasn't really helping anybody. Like I didn't really like yes, like there nobody. First of all, nobody cares about the fucking caption anyway. So nobody's reading whatever drivel you think is inspirational in the caption. So if you can't capture somebody in the post, you've already lost them and they're already on to the next sensational, entertaining thing. And it's probably going to be V-Shred and it's not going to be you. So I started just creating like the word tiles because I thought like, let me give them quick advice that they can resonate with and hopefully get something out of. And that's where the word tiles came from. And then I started realizing that like, I need to have some, because I mean, I understood a little bit about business because I had been surrounded by some pretty smart people and, branding and marketing was something that had been talked about to me. And I wanted to create something that was catchy. And I thought 4 weeks to the beach was a really cool idea because the idea is the way that I live my life. Like I live my life somewhere between 11 and 14% body fat all the time. And if I have something going on that I want to be more confident for, and let's say I'm going to a Vegas pool party for a weekend and I know it's coming up in a month, I don't have to like deconstruct my entire life to be a little bit more aesthetically sound when I show up at that pool party. I just rein back my meals out. I reduce my nightly snacking. I maybe up my cardio a little bit, and boom, in 4 weeks, I'm down from 13% to 10%. I walk into that pool party. I feel really good. I feel confident. I snap a few pictures, and the next week I'm back at it, and I don't let myself go. I just go. I loosen up on the reins a little bit. So the idea of 4 weeks to the beach is that you're always ready. Like you're always feeling good, and you're always living a foundationally solid lifestyle with nutrition and fitness as your pillars of self-care. And then when you need to be a little bit more dialed in for whatever reason, you're not having to do the 6-month transformation that Mrs. Jones is always worried about because she has to go to Cancun with her friends and she's 50 pounds overweight. So then she loses that 50 pounds aggressively and then puts all of it on plus some. I just don't want people to play that game anymore. So it's like, can we get you to be just really good on average, but then know how to ratchet it up when you need to?
I love that, dude. It's being fight ready, you know, like working with fighters and stuff, and like keeping them at a relatively close fighting weight so that you don't have to do this insane water cut and then you're weak in the ring or on the mats if you're doing really jiu-jitsu. Damn, I really like that. I didn't know because I never knew the background behind that. That's dope. I like that a lot, actually, and I think that's very similar to how I live my life, and I think how most people should strive to live their life. Honestly, that's a really healthy place where you're not. I mean, I've done bodybuilding shows, so I've been shredded, and you're just. I can't even mow my whole lawn without fucking needing a nap. You know, it sucks, but it's a totally different ballgame. So you start this, you kind of brand yourself that way, and that makes sense with even the content journey, man. Once upon a time, you could post a picture of an apple and have a long ass caption and it would sell 5 clients, and now it's so far from that. You got to dance or do something funny if you're going to capture them and keep their attention. So you're getting into the online space, you're doing this content thing. How quickly did you start growing your business and your clientele? And again, I want to explain this because I know there's a lot of, based on your audience, and especially with you being the person who runs the Real Coaches Summit, and I know our audience, I think a lot of people get a lot of value out of this stuff. How long did it take you to start really transitioning into online coaching? Because I still to this day get people who are in-person trainers or gym owners, they're like, I want to start doing online stuff. And they don't know what to ask, how long it takes, what's involved. Like, how big of a transition was that for you coming from just always training people in person?
Well, I had to have something to sell, which I didn't really. I mean, I had a little bit of an idea before I left Connecticut to like, okay, like I need to have a service that I can sell. I need to have a place where they can view what that service looks like and get some details on it. And I need to have a way for them to pay me for that service. So it's like if you have a payment system, a landing page, and an offer, you can get started tomorrow. And that's kind of what I learned at NCI in passing just by talking to some people because I did the NCI level 1 back in 2019. Actually, Danny Matrango was in my class, which is funny because now Danny blew up and then he actually ended up speaking at one of my events. And then Jimmy, my podcast partners who I met at my event. So then hey, we've been thick as thieves ever since. But that's another plug for events. Like you go to events and you don't just learn about stuff from the people on stage. You learn from the people that are sitting in that crowd who might be further along the road than you are. And that's how I learned about all that stuff. And
Real
I
quick,
was charging, what's that?
real quick, I just want to say it's just to plug your event and just encourage people because we're going to get to it in a sec. But I do want to echo what you just said because I just got back from North Carolina speaking at Sam's event with him, Joel, Dr. Sean. I met all of those people that I shared the stage with, except one, at an event where we were people in the crowd, literally 5+ years ago. Last year, I spoke at Brad's event. I met him at an event, Brad Jensen. Like, it's so true what you said. And like, it's crazy how many connections I have in the industry just because I was somebody in the audience standing there and I wasn't afraid to go travel by myself, sit in an audience and be like, hey, I'm Cody. Let's fucking talk since we're both here doing the same shit in our lives and we live alone and we're here alone. Like, let's network, you know, it's unbelievably valuable. And so I just want to make that point because you put on a big event and there's such a good opportunity for people to do that there. So anyway, sorry for interrupting. But
That's how I met Brad. I mean, I met Brad at the same coaching con that I think you were at. And then Brad invited me onto a podcast. And this was in 2019. I flew out to Salt Lake. I wasn't making much money back then. And that was it. Like, people finally heard who I was. At that point, I already created the 4 Weeks to the Beach account. I already started improving my content. So that's where people found me. And I give a lot of credit to Brad for my start of kind of getting some notoriety in the business. And I mean, back then I was charging $100 a month for nutrition and training with weekly check-ins. And it wasn't like weekly check-ins like, here's 24 hours before you get a response. It was weekly check-ins like, if you text me, I'm responding in seconds. I have no boundaries. Like, to this day, I have a roster of 125 people, and if they text me, only time I won't respond to them is right now on a Riverside. I won't see the text come in, obviously, but like, if it's Friday night and I'm out to dinner with my person, I'm responding. If it's Saturday morning and it's 5 a.m. and I'm awake, I'm responding. Like, I'm an entrepreneur and I have paying service-based business clients who need me, and they're going to get a response from me, and that's what they're promised, and that's what they're going to get. So I'm sorry, like, for anybody new who's like looking for work-life balance, you're not going to find that for a very long time. Like, if that's the illusion that you're under, go back to your 9 to 5 and good luck there, because this is not the industry to fuck around with. Like, I just a small tangent, but I cannot stand the half in, half out coaches. Like, it's either go full balls and do this for a living. Stop using this as a fucking side hustle. I cannot fucking stand it. If you're an assistant coach for another person, fine. Like, you have your boundaries and you have your expectations, but if you're trying to make this your career, make this your career. Go and swim in water that you're unfamiliar with and figure it out, because the world doesn't need more like fucking Octavia coaches who get certified overnight because they're bored housewives who have fucking 96 other responsibilities. Like, this needs to be your priority, because those clients are going to feel that you don't care. And if they feel that you don't care, they're going to leave. And they not only are they going to lose trust in you and you're dead in the water, but they're going to lose trust in this industry collectively. And I cannot stand that, because that's why we're looked at as a laughing stock. And we should be the front line of healthcare. That's what we are. We are the soldiers on the front line of healthcare that can prevent chronic disease and help people get their life back. And I don't think people take that seriously enough. They see this as a fucking dark sports promotion. They see this as a Young LA sponsorship deal. They see it as a way to get notoriety for themselves, to build their own bullshit brand. And they don't respect the fact that this is really an important industry to be in. And I take this life or death seriously. And I just wish more people did that. But yeah, I mean, I was charging $150, $100 for coaching. And I just tried to get as many people as I could. I would take anybody. It was the shotgun approach. And at one point, I think maybe 20 people that I was working with, and I was just doing the best I could, just, refining my communication style and my systems and what I thought I knew about nutrition, which was jack shit, because I reverse dieted fat women constantly. And that was the stupidest thing I could do, because that's what I thought was the right way to do it, because it was like diet culture is bad and people shouldn't diet. And if they lift more, they should be able to eat more. Well, yeah, not if you're fucking 45% body fat.
yeah,
And I didn't understand the basics of human physiology. And then I had to get more education on that stuff. And then I realized that coaching is a hell of a lot simpler than people make it out to be. And compliance is really 99% of the problem more often than not. It's not because you suck as a coach. It's because people don't actually eat 1,200 calories and people don't really train that hard. And that's really all it is. And when you can show them that in the simplest way possible by showing them the data that they're responsible for collecting, the disconnect goes away. And all of a sudden you do become the trustworthy person, and they're full of shit. And not because they were lying. It's because they didn't know any better. And it's because you as a coach were too chicken shit to tell them that. So I just realized very quickly that I'm not going to be the person that lies to them, and I'm not going to be the person that enables them. I'm going to be the person that tells them the truth, whether they want to hear it or not. And if they want to stay with me, cool, they'll self-select. And if they don't, go work with the fucking emotional eating coach and see what happens.
dude, that's so good. I mean, I resonate with so many things you just said. I hesitate to say this to certain people in person, because I don't like telling people how to do things. I have never done this, and I still don't, and I will never call any of my coaches assistant coaches. I have people that have master's degrees, way higher qualifications than I do. Like, they're not assistant coaches, they're fucking experts, and I call them that. But I also expect them to be real full-time coaches. Like, there's no part-time hobbyist on my team. But because of exactly what you said, even when it was a side hustle for me, I was working graveyard shifts just because I needed money. It wasn't a side hustle. It was like the community center that I cleaned shit up at. That was a side hustle to make sure that I could
Yeah.
afford to like chase my dream, you know? But this kind of stuff needs to be said so much more because people lose sight of that, man. They lose sight of it. And there's like the whole, even what you said about earning like work-life balance, you know, even the first 4 years of my daughter being alive, I didn't have any work-life balance. I don't even know, like my brain doesn't shut off. So I don't know if I do today, but like I'm better about not responding to everything always because I know she's watching and I'm with her and stuff. But like, that's a child. That is what it took for me to be like, okay, this is like, I have to have this. Because to be honest with you, like if you really, really, and I don't know if this is how you feel about it, if you really, really love the coaching industry, you don't want like what they call work-life balance. I don't want to go meditate on a beach and like do shit. I want to work. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, and I wish more people were that way and were enthusiastic about what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's again, I don't find it to be. I've done some horrible jobs, dude. Like I'm sure you have. I did HVAC in the middle of the summer and in the middle of the winter for 2 summers, and I wanted to kill myself every day for $12 an hour. I was bleeding all day from my hands. My hands were swollen. I was on my hands and knees in attics and in basements with rats and spiders. It was awful. And now I'm in an apartment in Southern California in front of a laptop with a ring light and my shorts on. And the only reason why I have a t-shirt on is because I'm doing a podcast. Like, how hard is my job? And I get
Yeah.
to sit here and help and charge 200, almost 150 people for advice that they can find online for free.
Yeah.
And that's like that's what we forget. Like everybody thinks they're so fucking important when they're online coaches. It's like nothing that you have to say is saving anybody's life, nor is it proprietary information. You read it from a book, you learned it from somebody who was smarter than you, and then you decided to take credit for it. The only reason why you exist is because human nature is lazy as fuck and doesn't want to do it on their own.
Mm,
That's it. And if you can't respect the simplicity of that, this is not the industry for you. Because again, like I mean, we can certainly get to a point where we're saving people's lives in the long term. We're improving their quality of life. We're getting their mobility back. We're improving their musculature and their strength and their longevity. Sure. But we're not doing any of that. They're doing it. They're doing the physical work. We're just guiding them along the way. So even when I get people that send me text messages and testimonials and they're like, oh my God, you helped me something. Like, yes, I helped you, but you did the work. Remember that you did
yeah.
the work. And that's, I think, something that like, there's got to be some humility in this business. Like, let's put it this way. 3 years now running at the event, I don't even speak at the event. Like I literally get up in the morning at 8 a.m. when we do our first session, I say thank you to everybody, and then I fuck off, and then I walk around the event and ask people if they're good and they need anything. I've been to events where the host spoke 2 to 3 times in the same day. And I'm like, why the fuck are you on stage 3 times? Just make it your event and don't even bring speakers on.
Mm-hmm.
Just have it be a one day listen to me mastermind and then watch who nobody comes. And there's just so many problems with ego and
Yeah.
self-centeredness in this business. And I think it's truly because people can get like, I mean, let's put it this way. It's not that long of a time. Like in 2021, I had just really started the online business. And now my revenue is somewhere between $20,000 and $22,000 a month. Like where else can you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where can you go from making dick 5,000 a month barely to going to making $250,000 a year to wear shorts all day in your apartment on a computer. Like and that, and people like now. Granted, I never stopped. I post content tirelessly every day. I
Yeah.
answer every DM. I answer every text message. I get on 15 to 20 phone calls for free every single week. So yeah, I give away all my time, but time is all I have.
Yeah.
I have plenty of. I don't have kids. I'm not married. Like, why wouldn't I be doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to challenge what you're saying a little bit, but in a way that's actually going to give you credit because I think that there's a humility behind what you're saying. And I think that, so two things. One, where else could you do that? I mean, 2025 in America, that's really the answer because I'm sure, I don't know where else I would do it outside of this industry too, but I'm sure somebody listening is like, well, actually, fuck, I could do that online in my industry too. And I didn't even think about it. And like, I'm making it harder than it is. And so there's probably other industries that you could do, you know, And then I also think that, because I agree with you, I think that there was this wave, it used to drive me crazy. It still kind of does, but it's not as bad anymore, of like people just reverse dieting everybody and not realize, like, my client says they're only eating 1,200 calories, not losing weight. It's like, no, they're eating 2,500 calories at least. And then that's not including weekends. Like, I totally get that. I think that this is where you accumulate a certain amount of knowledge through learning, certifications, all that kind of stuff, but also like experience. So you're smarter than the average person, but also there's an art to coaching that people forget. I think so many people are focused on the science. They forget that there's an art to being a great coach. And I think that it comes more naturally to some people. And I think after doing it a long time, it is really like, I have somebody on my team that's really good about actually taking what I do that works and making it into like a teachable system. She's amazing. Because there's times where I'm like, I don't know why this works, but this is what I do, and I do it really well, and they get results. And she's like, this is what she has her master's and then a minor in psychology. So she gets it.
Okay.
She's like, this is what is working. Let's make a system. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's dope. Because to me, I'm like, this just comes out because I've been around coaching and coaches since I was 18 years old. This is all I've done. So, but I know you're the same way. And so people listening, I want you to like take away, like, the art of coaching is like embedded in him as he says this. And so that's why, Aram, you're so good at this part of it, which brings me actually to the event. Like, I really want to, like, at what point did you decide? You said it's been going on 3 years. You don't even speak at it, which I think is really dope. I've done 2 seminars here where I spoke the whole time. I didn't invite a single guest speaker because that wasn't the point. And you'll love this. The funny thing is there was multiple people that were like, hey, you didn't sell us anything at the end. And I was like, oh yeah, shit, I forgot about that part. Like, that's not really it's not what it was about. This was about program design. Like, I was actually just trying to teach you shit to get better results. But you don't speak there. You have phenomenal guests every year. It's in Vegas at massive venues. Like, at what point did you just decide, like, I'm going to take on this fucking Moby Dick sized project to attack? Like, what was that?
Well, I like bringing people together, and I like Vegas. I like to party. I like to have fun, and I went to so many events like you did, dude, where like pitch fest, shit speakers, same topic, sometimes the same speaker year after year saying literally the same thing they said the year before. And it was always some ulterior motive for something else. It was like, well, you're here, but you're not really here for this. The education actually doesn't matter. We're going to actually just sell you this thing on the back end to make up for the money that we lost because we had to pay Dickhead $50,000 to get on stage to say the same shit he says on Instagram you can get for free. And then it's always theory based. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool to talk about mindset, right? But like, how do you framework mindset and teach it to a person who has an emotional eating problem? So there was just no practicality to any of this stuff. Or I would go to like the Perform Better conferences in Rhode Island, and every year they were fucking teaching the kettlebell swing for the 90th time. And I'm like, guys, or like I would go to ISSN and they'd be talking about the importance of protein. I'm like, is there anything else that you guys want to teach us at all? Like, this was in the NASM book too. Can you teach us something beyond what we already know? And there just wasn't any of that. So I'm like, okay, cool. What's the problem? Celebrity talking head speakers who aren't really coaches anymore. They just have a team of people doing their work for them. So they're not even boots on the ground. They're so disconnected they forgot what it was like to be in those seats. Upsell Fest 2003 and 4 and 5, whatever you want to call it. It's like, if you want to get next to the speakers, you got to pay an extra $1,000 to get the VIP ticket. People can't, the mid-tier coaches who need that can't afford it. Nothing was included. You had to Uber everywhere you went. If you wanted to go out to dinner, it was 25 minutes away. The hotels are $400, $500 a night. The flight to bumfuck Ohio is another 600 because there's nothing direct there. So I'm like, cool, let's solve all these problems. Let's bring real coaches that are actually doing real work. I mean, I've had a couple of bigger names, but still real coaches. Let's put it in Vegas where it's easy as shit to fly into. Let's put it in places where it's less than $200 a night to stay. And let's give them all their food, coffee, and water so they don't have to worry about going anywhere. So solve all problems in one shot, and then let's make it all about the attendees. Like, the speakers are important. Don't get me wrong. Like, the speakers are what attract people to want to show up. It's kind of, but it's really more. The event wouldn't exist if the people didn't buy tickets. So if I don't take care of the people buying tickets, I don't give a shit about, like, the speakers already made their money. Like let's put, like, if I put you on stage in 2028, how much money do you make? You don't need me to pay you $5,000 to show up. That's not
Yeah.
going to be life-changing money for you. And your job is not to be a speaker on tour. You're a fucking coach. So if I give you a hotel room and say, here's 250 people who will probably buy your course if you have a curriculum, you're welcome. And here's all the social media content to make you look important also. That's all you need to show up. And if that's not enough for you, fuck off. Don't be on my stage.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I think it's the hard part about that is this is where I think a lot of people make this mistake, and like an easier example to explain it would be like so focused on, I've seen this personally, like short form content versus never doing long form content or never building relationships, never really focusing on customer service, like things that are actually going to cause word of mouth, referrals, people finding you on Google and ChatGPT because they're searching certain things versus just posting that's going to be gone in 24 hours, which mind you, I do every single day. So I'm not saying you don't do it, but it's the same thing where like you're putting on this event not in a way of like how much money can I make from this event, because truthfully most people put on amazing events don't make shit at the event. Sometimes they lose money if they break even. From the people I've talked to that have hosted big events like yours, most of the time they're like, if I break even, I'm good. But the amount of relationships they develop, the credibility they have, the trust they instill in people because they're the one putting their really like everything at risk to put on this event for the people to gain value, like that, man, that's priceless. That is so much for you and your career and your reputation to people and to speakers, coaches like myself who want to speak at places like this. They like people who actually do it for the right reasons, not people who, there's nothing worse than getting an invite to speak somewhere and you're like, oh, fuck. Especially if you don't realize till you get there, you're just like, like I just was at a smaller event. It was more of a private event for Sam's group. There was like 40 people, I think, attendees, but like that kind of vibe is so hard to find in a large setting. And there's really only a couple people who've pulled it off, you being one of them, and I think that says like, that's so much worth so much more for you and your career and your person, like your personality, your reputation than money. You know what I mean? It'd probably make you more money long-term anyway.
I'll make money as a coach, and if I don't, then my model sucks. Like the first year I lost 35,000, which I had to take out a loan from Bank of America, which I paid off. The second year I really fucked up and I lost 75,000 because I mismanaged how much, because food and beverage alone cost me 100. Like this next year coming up, the bill for that was 157,000. Now, it's 3 meals a day. The food's awesome. It's, I basically am paying for double protein because it's all fucking fitness coaches,
Yeah.
but it's all like very good food. It's and the reason why I want it that way is because it's 10-foot rounds. So you get 10 seats at a round and you get people just talking. They're eating food and they're talking to one another. And Alan Aragon's sitting with you and hanging out, and Joey Munoz is hanging out with you. And then eventually it's going to be Cody McBroom that's going to be hanging out with you. And I've been to so many conferences, I'm sure you have too, where the speaker literally speaks and then they're nowhere to be found for the rest of the event. They're gone. They might show up to the VIP dinner because they're essentially being paid to do so. Like, I hate having to incentivize people to be people. Like,
Yeah.
if you're too good to be a part of this thing, then don't come in the first place. We don't want you there. Like, I don't want. There was one exception. It was because Stan Efferding was a single dad at the time. He was living in Vegas. He was busy. He told me ahead of time he couldn't hang out afterwards. I'm like, cool. Thank you for even coming. I know your life is nuts. He was about to move to Bali or whatever he is now. So like he was one of the only speakers I've ever had who never really hung out, but he couldn't. But like I've been at conferences where you're like looking forward to meeting these people, and then they literally sprint off stage, and it's like they found a trap door somewhere, and now they're back up in their hotel room, and you'll never see them again. I
Yeah.
just don't want that to be the vibe. Like, granted, like yes, you're going to mingle with all the other coaches, and there's coaches of all different levels that come, but the speakers have a responsibility to that audience, just like I have a responsibility to that audience. So if I don't deliver and over deliver to you, why would you come and spend $700 to $900 to come the next year? You're not going to. And yeah, I mean, the second year I got close to break even. I was like maybe $6,000 down, which that's totally fine with me. I'll take that. Considering the year before that, I literally was crying and calling everybody I knew from the East Coast to borrow money. And then Stripe actually gave me a loan. I didn't realize you could do that. But Stripe, by the way, if you ever need a loan, Stripe is the best way to do it because they just take 20% of all your transactions until you're paid up.
Mm.
So it was awesome. So I had the loan paid off in about 11 months. But then next year, like I already know what my costs are to the penny. I overinflated all my costs by at least 10% to make up for any inflation or any extras. I know exactly what I'm going to charge. And this was the scary part. I sold tickets at this year's event for next year's event, and I was so worried about doing it because I'm like, God forbid something goes wrong and I can't fucking host this thing. I got to refund 52 people $648. And again, I'll do it. Like I'll go on fucking Stripe and get another loan. But I hopefully, I mean, everything is going to be okay. But still, like, yeah, you're talking about like massive financial risk, and if nobody comes, you're holding the bag. And these are Vegas contracts. This isn't fucking. I'm going to host this at the local YMCA. Like these people have you by the balls,
Yeah.
and they're going to take you to court for every penny you owe them. And it's a massive thing. And but again, like if I don't do that, who else is? Who else is
Yep.
going to go do that? Who else is going to do it the right way and give people gobs of education and opportunity to connect and also, God forbid, have a little bit of fun while doing it? Because sometimes you go to these things and they're so stuffy
Yeah.
and people can't even be themselves half the time. Whereas like on Tuesday night after the event's over, I take people to a live band karaoke bar. You know, I'm up there fucking hammered on God knows what substance at the time, and everybody's having a good time. There's 50 people there that nobody has to worry about anything or paying for anything. That's what I want it to be.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so good. I often tell people that are earlier on in their career too that like, and I think this is a good example of it for them to hear. 90% of success is endurance because you got to be able to just like basically get kicked in the nuts over and over and over again before you finally go, oh, wait, cover. And you figure it out. So which also is nice because it humanizes it. It's like that means anybody really can if you're just willing to get kicked, and just that's how you learn. You don't learn through like just easily crushing things and winning and be like, that was simple. Like it's not how it works. So man, like as we wrap up this podcast, the main thing I want to make sure that we leave people with is the date, how to sign up, all that, because this is going to air as we're recording this, within the next few weeks. So I'm assuming they can sign up for the next one in April, and I highly encourage it. I'm planning on being there. I'm planning on bringing whatever parts of my team can come. So where can people find the information to actually go and attend and be there?
The stupid thing I didn't do until this year was I finally started an Instagram page for it. So it's at real.coaches.summit, which is the Instagram page. The website for the event where you can get tickets and details and all that stuff is realcoachessummit.com. I have 11 out of 12 speakers confirmed. I'm just waiting on one more person. So it's going to be 12 speakers. So the it's two people concurrently speaking at the same time in two different rooms. And then let's say you have kind of a schedule that you want to put together on your own. If you miss one person one day, you can see them the second day, and they do the same presentation on both days. And then I give everybody the recordings afterwards. So if you miss somebody, you're going to be emailed the recordings in about a month after the event's over. And then also, again, we have a reception dinner Sunday night when you get in. So we do dinner and a social that night. The only thing that I don't pay for anymore is I used to pay for booze, but now I just do a cash bar because not that many people drink anyway, and it was costing me a fortune. So now I do take care of your food, your water, and your coffee, but you're on your own for drinks. Don't worry, so am I. So we're all in it together. But yeah, we do a social every night from like 5:30 to 7, and then you can go out in Vegas if you want after that with whoever you meet. And I do encourage people to do that because I want people to like meet each other and go and break off, because a lot of people will show up to things like in a clique and they won't like separate themselves from that clique, so they'll sit at the same table. It's like, well, go meet some other people. There's 280 people here. Like, let's go and meet some other individuals, and hopefully that happens. But I can't force that type of stuff to occur. It's either you want it or you don't. The sponsors that I get for the event are all very practical and industry specific, so it's a lot of like Bridge Athletic, Turnkey Coach, Train Heroic, like people like that, like companies that are going to be synergistic to our industry. Some supplement companies, Spoken will show up most likely. So yeah, I just, if you're somebody who's like in that mid to like low to mid tier, you don't really know where to get that further level of education. You're in front of a fucking computer for 12 hours a day and you have no connection to the outside world. Like this is your opportunity once a year to go and see who else is in this industry and what they're doing. You're going to meet a lot of people you probably connect with online. and it's just fun. Like it's not a boring 2.5 days. It's a very collaborative, fun 2.5 days. And the information on stage, and this is not like because it's my event. Like I'm a pretty smart coach, and there's like shit that I've heard on stage at my event that I'm like, wow, I never actually knew that. Like even like Alan Aragon this past year, like broke down uh, dieting adaptations to the molecular biological level that I've never seen ever. Like he's never presented that information anywhere else. Luca, great example. Luca has been talking about business for the last 5 years. Luca broke down hybrid training to the point where he was handing you a program at the end of that hour. Like he went back to his roots, and it was fucking awesome to see. So like the people that come to my event are there because they want to be there, and they're going to over deliver because they know I over deliver. So like it's just the spirit of it is just so cool. Like eventually when I have you speak in because 2027 is going to be greatest hits if I can survive. So that's going to be the best speakers in the last 5 years, and then 2028 will be the next generation. So that'll be you if you want to do it. And then some, I already have like I literally have a list of people for the next 5 years after this. So maybe eventually I'll speak at it. I have no idea.
I love that. It's good, man. It's so good too because, like, I mean, even just Luke as an example, like, I met him when I was 18. He trained me. He taught me programming. I literally worked out with him every single fucking day for 7 years
Wow.
straight. Yeah, like that. I was the head trainer at his gym. Like, he took me on as an intern. Then I built myself, and then started running classes, then small groups, and then semi-privates. And like, I flew around and did stuff with him to like.
Oh,
Just
I
watch
didn't know
him
that.
do
That's
things.
crazy.
Yeah, so like, it's sad that I've seen a lot of younger coaches that don't get experiences like that. You know, they didn't have to, like, I had to watch DVDs about coaching during the internship because that's what we had. And I was starting so young, you know, but like, it's cool that this is why I'm so passionate about stuff like your event because it's almost like non-existent. It's so hard for people to find the right people. And when you say certain names and they don't know about them or they haven't dug into what they've done, it's like, man, this is so valuable. You know, you gotta listen to these guys. So anyway, man, this has been phenomenal. I think this is a really good example of really just real coaching, like what it's all about behind the scenes, what people need to be focusing on. Your event is such a great example and somewhere everybody listening should be. So I'm going to put the link to the event directly, the Instagram, Aram's Instagram as well. So you can check out his content and his podcast and everything in the description of this episode. So please do go check it out. Grab your tickets because every single time, every year, I hear a ton of coaches. I've had coaches on my staff go and love it. And like, I've heard it from clients, like, cause we coach a lot of coaches, like, it is a phenomenal event. I can't speak highly enough about it and the way it's going down. So I want to encourage everybody to do that. Dude, Aram, thank you for spending the time with me today. And I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, man. I really appreciate it.